With us right now is the great Andy Biggs, who I wish we had 500 Andy Biggs in Washington, D.C. Congressman Biggs, welcome back to the program.
Charlie, great to be with you. It's always good to be with you. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So catch me up to speed here, Andy. So Arizona, prior to what happened last Friday, the reversal Roe versus Wade, from my understanding correctly, they never actually got rid of their previous abortion ban. Where does Arizona stand on all of this? Because it doesn't seem as if they're kind of in the list of states that will soon outlaw abortion.
Well, Charlie, from statehood, the statute has been on the books that no abortion is allowed except for in the case to protect the life of the mother. So that has never been rescinded. So that is the current state of the law. There was another law that they kicked around, and I'm not sure it got passed, but it dealt with rape and incest as well. But I don't think it ever was passed into law. So the current state of the law is, unless you're protecting the life of the mother, you cannot do an abortion in Arizona.
And so is that now being enforced? That's the question. I mean, there are Planned Parenthood clinics in Arizona. Are they closing? Who's actually kind of putting the pressure on to make sure this law gets enforced?
Well, that's going to have to come from Governor Ducey's office and the Department of Public Safety and the state attorney general. All have to go in and start enforcing that law. And I think I don't know why this might have caught anybody off guard, but it happened so quickly. I was expecting the decision this week. In fact, I thought it was going to come out today, but it came a little bit earlier. But the AG has got to basically be the one who goes in and prosecutes. And I don't know if they're set up to do it just yet.
You know, it was interesting. I spent some time in Scottsdale and Paradise Valley, and there were some very upset people, and they said, you know what, I moved here to Arizona, and I'm going to move back to California because abortion is illegal. I said, perfect. It's already working. For no other reason to get these Californians out of Arizona. It's kind of just like a self-deportation thing. You can go back to Sacramento. You can go back to San Francisco. Perfectly fine with me. So actually breaking right now, Planned Parenthood of Arizona says it's putting all abortion services on hold until there's a clear idea of the legal landscape in Arizona. So that's Planned Parenthood right now that has put that forward. So I want to ask you, from your perspective in Washington, D.C., it seems as if the Democrats are continuing on this January 6th committee. You wrote a whole article on this. Do you think that's really what your constituents want? Is that what voters are demanding right now?
No, that is so far down the list. No one's even paying attention. And I have to tell you, my voters in Arizona, and I've looked at multiple polls, not just ones that I've run, but others have run. And the top two issues, and they're almost neck and neck, are the inflation and economy. That's right there with border security. And actually, most of the time, border security is on top. But they're both very close, and they both have tremendous impact on Arizona. And you know, Charlie, that Arizona, particularly the Phoenix metro area, has effectively the highest inflation rate in the country.
Yes, that's right.
And yeah, it's incredible. And I go to fill up my tank with gas, and it's like $5.69, $5.70 a tank, and that's outrageous. Outrageous.
And it's not just that, but it's the price of housing, groceries, everything in Phoenix is up so dramatically. What is it about Phoenix? We're here live actually on AM 960. Why has Phoenix kind of become the worst for inflation? What do you think the reason for that is?
A couple reasons. First of all, we don't have the access to enough pipelines and enough flow from California and Texas of gas into the country. So that's going to just naturally deal with the technical side of things. But then when you move to the classical definition, we've got basically the currency is devalued. We've got so much growth here, and it's really red hot. You know it. The price of housing was already going way up, ridiculously high. And then when Biden came in and they caused the supply chain problems, you have then they supplied all these people incentives to stay home, and they've not come back to work yet, even though you have an artificially reported low unemployment rate. So there's all these jobs that are open in Arizona and throughout the country. But the bottom line is this: when you devalue your currency and then at the same time you create these scarcities like in energy, you're going to have massive amounts of pressure, and Arizona doesn't have a relief valve because we don't have a refinery, we don't have the adequate pipelines on the energy side, and then we're just growing like all your friends that need to move back to California now. They've all moved here for jobs because the companies have come here because we've got this tremendous job environment, low taxes, low regulatory environment, great infrastructure, and so it's driving all these prices up as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's not just Phoenix, but it's also happening in Atlanta. It's happening in many other areas. But Phoenix is by far the worst. We're certainly feeling it here. Yeah. So let's talk about this week. Over the weekend, there were these Arizona Capitol riots. So kind of the great irony is that we have a whole committee that is supposed to go look into insurrection. And it looked as if there was almost an attempted insurrection over the weekend. Was there not?
There was, both in Washington, D.C., and that insurrection has been going on, first of all, in Washington, D.C. When you're trying to intimidate Supreme Court justices to change their view, and also have somebody that leaked the report, that's an insurrection in the classical definition. And then you saw what happened at the state capitol in Arizona and Phoenix, all these people trying to get in and interrupt and cause mayhem and riot, and the criminal damage they did. I thought Senator Kelly Townsend sent a prescient Twitter that I read at the time that said, where's the J24? I can't remember how she phrased it, but where's the J24th commission? And that's, that was as insurrectionist as anything else you'll see, this rioting. And we have to face that, Charlie. That's what the left does. You and I, well, you weren't around, but when I was there with the conservative movement and the pro-life movement, we didn't say we're going to burn down the Supreme Court. We didn't say it's irrelevant. We want to pack the Supreme Court. We didn't say it's illegitimate. We said we're going to have to work this thing through and try to make this right. But the other side, they immediately go to violence, and we've seen that particularly in the last 12 years. Yeah,
and that they say that you're not supposed to do any of this. Obviously, we agree, but yet they do it themselves. So let's go to cut 16, video of when the session inside the Arizona State Capitol was disrupted because of the pro-abortion rioters outside trying to break in. Play cut 16.
Please listen. We are going to recess. We're going into recess right now, okay? We have a security problem outside. Members, please go. Stop. We're recessed.
Wait a second. So rioters actually interrupted the official proceeding of Arizona State business? Is that right, Andy?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, those people you heard yelling in there, those were teachers who were taking advantage of the situation because the historic vote that they were about to take was to grant essentially educational scholarship accounts to all 1.1 million kids in Arizona, students in Arizona. And so when she announces there's a security problem, there's a riot problem, they started chanting. But yes, they were trying to break up an official session of the Arizona State Senate. And, we use the term insurrection loosely. It was certainly a riot. But if we have a new definition of insurrection, which I'm hearing about all the time in Washington, D.C., then this was about as close as you could come.
Cut 15, footage from inside the Arizona State Capitol of pro-abortion protesters trying to break in. Play cut 15. After all of the kind of rancor that they put towards January 6th, that's what they then do, is they try to then bust down the doors of the Arizona State Capitol. Your thoughts, Andy, as we close?
Yeah, absolutely right. And this is, it's unbelievable, this behavior that comes from the left. Every time they move to violence immediately, every time. I got a kick out of Babylon Bee. They did a headline that said the January 6th committee recesses so they could encourage insurrection throughout the country. And that's really what you've seen from the left, from Pelosi, Schumer, AOC, Elizabeth Warren. And you know what? They're actually calling for action, and so maybe they should be held accountable.
Yeah, very good. Congressman Biggs, thank you so much from the great state of Arizona. We got to take
Thanks,
it back.
Charlie.
We got to win the Senate race and keep the governor's mansion red. It's super important. Thank you.
Amen, brother.
God bless
Amen,
you.
brother.
Thank you.
Thanks.